Hello, George. Welcome to Your Turn podcast. I'm really excited to have you here as my guest today. Really want to learn about your pivots, your decision in becoming an entrepreneur, and your journey into this. So maybe briefly introduce yourself, and then we can start from there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, it's nice to see your face again. It's been a couple of months, so I'm super happy you got me on the podcast. To give you a little breakdown about me, I'm the founder and CEO of Wave Connect. So really what we're trying to do here is modernize the way people network. So typically nowadays, a lot of the times we're using paper business cards, and it's something we've been using for quite some time. So we're just trying to revolutionize the way people connect through digital business cards and QR codes.
Yeah, great. And you're still side hustling. So maybe let's start immediately with this. So how are you combining this?
It's rough. Combining a full-time job with your own startup, and we're gaining some traction as well. So it's very tough. You have to just be able to manage your time. But typically, what I say is, if you're not working hard, then you're probably not working at all. So usually after 5, I stick through it probably till 12, 1 o'clock, and just to continue to build. What I found is, I have a good team around me that's I'm able to delegate to. So really, I've built that sort of system where, I can manage many of the things that are happening at Wave, but at the same time, have other people continue to work with me to build it out. So I have a good team of people around me, and that's really what's pushing Wave to that next level.
And when you talk about systems, what are for you the most critical systems that you need in order to start outsourcing or start delegating tasks and projects?
So really, you need a system of, when it comes to delegation, the system that I've built in a sense is, the team is very close together in a sense where everybody's talking about, day-to-day updates, what's going on, really keeping everybody in the loop. Nobody's in the dark on anything. So whenever somebody needs help, it's just immediate action. So the systems we've built is really within the team to make sure that, if somebody needs help, we're there to help, and everybody has their allocated tasks. So typically, I could work sometimes on project management with the devs, but the devs are really the ones coding. So if they need any, front end work or things of that nature or direction, I'm always there to help them immediately. So really, the system is mostly communication with each other.
Yeah, and are you writing down everything as well to document?
That's a great thing. So I'm documenting a lot of my journey right now on LinkedIn through content, right? Obviously, we document everything on the back end, sales, marketing, what works, what doesn't work. But you brought up a good point. What I'm trying to do right now is kind of vlog or introduce a vlog where I document the whole journey of how I'm building Wave Connect from the ground up, to really showcase, to everybody how, if I can do it or when I do it, that they can learn from my experiences as well.
Yeah, and do the people then give input as well?
I'm sorry?
Do the people give input on your journey on things that you could do differently, for example?
Honestly, LinkedIn is a crazy network. Like, everybody's so open to giving advice and helping each other. So like yourself, like when I reached out to you, for example, you had absolutely no problem to get on a call for even an hour of your time to kind of like break down sales for me, really showcase to me like which direction I should be taking, how I should break down my sales. So, I put myself out there, and I think everybody should, especially in an era where everything is online, right? And, look what it's done. It's opened you as a mentor to me in sales, and at the same time, I got into your podcast where I can actually get some more awareness on Wave. So, definitely there's a lot of input, and us interacting is the perfect example of that.
Yeah, true. And I've seen you interacting with some other people as well. And then how do you decide what advice you will follow and what advice you won't? Because there are a million of experts and a million of opinions. There are a few best practices. So how do you decide what to follow?
Yeah, so that's a tough question, right? Because there's definitely advice coming from all ends, especially now where, content is everywhere, and, there's so many experts in different fields in their own right. But really it's a matter of sort of luck, and then at the same time, a bit of testing, right? So I try and accumulate the knowledge from yourself, who was talking about sales, and as well as, 2 or 3 other people. And then I kind of take the most common stuff that everybody's been saying, and then I test them out myself in the market to see if it's actually working or not. And then from there, it's just a matter of experimenting what works and what doesn't work. And then just keep iterating and continuously trying to. It's a knowledge game when it comes to startups. It's more about taking action, but at the same time, a lot of it is based on just trying and learning. And the better you are, the better the startup is actually going to be.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Thank you. Good thing. Yeah. And when we go back to your startup, you started with a business card business in COVID period, where there were not a lot of on-site events and on-site business meetings. How did you, first of all, decide to go into the business card business?
Yeah, so that's a good story. So I was at I did my MBA here in Montreal. Okay, and in the MBA program, they pass out paper business cards. And it has nothing to do with the MBA. The MBA was amazing. It was the Goodman Institute of Investment Management here at John Molson. Great people. But the business cards never did me any good, right? So I used to go and, pass them around. And typically, the statistic is 88% of people who do receive them tend to throw them out. So really, that's not a great statistic when you're trying to close a sale, close a job, close an investor, or make a great first impression, right? So a lot of what we do today is all online, all your socials, all your content, all your websites, videos, photos, you name it. Everything is online. And a 3x6 piece of paper is absolutely not doing us any justice, right? So trying to leverage older technology to bridge that gap between what you have to offer online and the in-person space is the reason why, I started Wave Connect. I said there must be a better way to do this, a better way to showcase who you really are, what your brand really stands for, and make those great first impressions. Because, opportunities are built when talking to people at these events, and an 88% chance of, capturing that opportunity is not something that resonated with me. So I was like, let's try and find a way to up the statistic and really help people open doors.
Great. And then you had your idea. Did you test it somehow by talking to other people to understand if it has some market potential?
Yeah, it was really a scrappy situation, to be honest with you. Like, no joke. We actually did it through TikTok, shockingly.
Oh, wow.
So the way it worked is I built an MVP, a really basic MVP. Like, all it was doing was showcasing your socials, maybe a little bio, and then the card itself to exchange information. Yeah. So I went on TikTok and I just started posting content. This was like a year and a half ago when I was looking to try it out. And I just started posting. And then I built a landing page on MailChimp. So I was redirecting all the audience I was getting from TikTok who was seeing me like try out the product. They were going back on my landing page, and then the landing page would say, releasing soon, give us your email and we'll contact you once it's in the stores online. And I kept doing that until we got a list of maybe 1,000 people. And then from that list, we just selected 300 at random and we told them to provide us with their address. They did. We shipped out all the cards, and then we ended up giving out a survey and talking to the customers to kind of iterate on that and to change to see what works, what didn't work. And then once we had traction, we're like, okay, well, 300 people like it. We have 1,000 people on the wait list. We ended up opening a Shopify store and launching a pre-order. We got a couple $1,000s in pre-orders off the start without having an actual product. And we're like, okay, well, there's the validation we need. Let's start, working on this. And that's kind of how it started. So the inception is kind of TikTok, shockingly.
Oh, yeah, it's very shocking. I mean, I haven't heard this before. And how did you combine then the validation with the next iterations? You had the first product, probably low value. So business card in itself is low value, very highly transactional. But there it did not end, right?
No, so it kept transitioning, right? At first, it was like a way to just share your contact information and socials. And then, speaking to customers, we found that there's like a huge need when it comes to sales, right? typically a lot of salespeople, and this is just from conversations with our customers, right? I like to pick up the phone. I'm that type of guy who just calls them up and says, "Hey, it's the George from Wave Connect. Let's have a little chat. Tell me what you think about the product." And I've done this with hundreds of customers. So the feedback really for sales was there's a huge problem when it comes to trade shows. They're coming back from these trade shows with almost 400 to 500 paper business cards, right? And these paper business cards, they're going back to their office and inputting them in Salesforce, Zoho, HubSpot manually, potentially taking 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
And that's just one salesperson. Now imagine you're a company that has 10, 15 salespeople wasting hours every single week or every month, just inputting information. Over a year, that's going to rack up the costs, right?
Exactly.
So really, we tried to understand with these salespeople what exactly they need from these digital business cards, aside from saving money from going away from paper. And really, what they said is, help me save time, help me in a way where I don't have to do the manual work and I can just do the follow-up and close, right?
Yeah.
So we ended up working on integrating these digital business cards with the CRM platforms that are out there, like HubSpot, Zoho, Google Contacts, Salesforce, so that we're automating these workflows for sales. And that just opened up a huge gate for us. Before we were B2C, right? Focusing on, hey, just get away from paper. And now we're more of like an enterprise solution where we're helping sales and marketing showcase their brand, close more sales, automate these workflows, and better their business.
Yeah, and this approach also requires some different way of looking at going to the market. I mean, before you spoke to individuals, now your B2B process is probably completely different.
Yeah, so we're still going to individuals. We have that option on the e-com store, so people can always go there and buy one for themselves. If they're like an everyday professional or an everyday networker, they have the option to do that. But definitely the way sales is working for us has completely changed, right? So for the B2C part, it was mostly paid ads, video ads, just trying to redirect people to the wait list and, trying to have like a retargeting campaign. But now it's completely changed. I feel like it's become harder in a sense where there's more effort to be placed, right? Because you have to find the right target, the right people to reach out to. You have to do a discovery call at first. You got to do the prospecting. You got to get on that demo, and you really have to showcase the value and how this is going to help them. So really, the process has changed completely. It went from marketing, ads. Now it's looking at the sales funnel and trying to refine that with the ads, trying to give us awareness, right? So,
and what is your ideal customer now?
Ideal customer right now. So the end user is typically sales, but it seems to me that a lot of the people who are interested in this is typically, the marketing departments, because, in the end, a business card or a digital business card is a marketing tool, right? It's there to put you front and center, to put your business front and center. It's a reflection of who you really are. So through, the data that we've aggregated over the months, to us, it seems like marketing is where the interest is coming from.
Yeah. So you're shifting more and more into BNB. Do you have a type of decision-making process to say, okay, listen, we will follow that route, or we will go into that direction? And how does it look like?
Yeah, so it is more B2B now. In terms of direction, it's always a mystery to me, right? So, sometimes something works and I always think to myself, okay, maybe it can work better. How can I improve on this process or, make it more solid, more robust, more sustainable, something that we can, continue to use over and over again. So, we only launched officially 9 months ago. And I would say, from a startup's perspective, that's very, very early, right? Again, I'm in it for the long term. So 9 months to me is just a microsecond, but it's always a test, right? I'm not too sure what is going to work for us and what's not going to work, but, I try different angles. I try and see what might make, the best for Wave Connect, yeah.
And what's your vision with Wave? Where do you want to go to?
That's a good question. So really, we want to be the go-to place to change networking forever. So it's a very, 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 big goal. But typically I say that if you try and hit the moon, sometimes you can hit Andromeda, right? So a lot of the times we're just trying to help people really showcase their brand and share everything that they have to offer online so that they can capture opportunities. Like if somebody's able to close a sale and say, hey, Wave Connect helped me, or somebody's able to close an investor and say, Wave Connect was part of that's what fulfills me and makes me super happy, is that I was able to open opportunities for people. And that's really what we stand for here.
Okay. And yourself, how do you go about having to split your time between your full-time job and your side hustle? Because probably your passion is with your startup with Wave, and then you constantly need to make that mind shift, which can be pretty draining. So
it is very, very draining for sure. It's not hard, right? The company, I mean, it is very hard. The company, Wave Connect is bootstrapped. So typically we obviously have revenues flowing that we can reinvest and continue to build, but I'm not backed by any VC or any angel or anything of that sort. So a lot of the times it comes down to myself to hold that ship afloat. Mm-hmm. So in some sense, it's good that I have a full-time job, because if I ever need to dip into my pockets, I can.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because you don't have as much time to focus on the business. So it's a matter of setting your priorities, your timeline, setting your schedule. You have to be very, very rigorous and dedicated with the schedule you set, and stay consistent with it. So, every night for probably an hour, I set my schedule for the next day, make sure I know which tasks I have to do for Wave, which tasks I have to do for, Innovestor. Yeah. And then from there, I work accordingly. But it's not easy. Typically, I work more from 5 o'clock and later for Wave. So it gets tough to juggle for sure.
Yeah, yes, and what I noticed, and by talking to other entrepreneurs, you have a lot of people that work in their business. You as a CEO, you also need to make time and working on your business. So how do you block time for this?
So it's funny you say that. Recently, I went up north by myself to kind of reflect on exactly that, because I felt I was too in the business, right? So I'm working on the day-to-day, working with the devs. I was so deep in it that I kind of almost did some UI, UX work, and it was getting, I wasn't putting enough time on trying to see the bigger vision of things, the bigger processes. So I didn't know what to do at first. I was just trying to figure it out. And then I said, you know what, let me disconnect for, 3 days and just go up north, no human interactions, no setup, no work from home setup. Let me just go up there, sit by the lake, and really just reflect on myself for a little bit. And I found that, doing these on a monthly basis actually helps me quite a lot, because I'm able to focus on the business and not be in the business. I'm able to disconnect from it and really figure out, what path we need to go in, what's the next steps for Wave, who we need to hire next, and things of that nature. So really disconnecting from the city life in Montreal is definitely the thing that's helped me.
And do you have like a routine on how you handle a day like this? Like an own agenda, or do you just sit there and wait until ideas come?
Honestly, I just sit there. I just reflect in nature. I just, sit down, enjoy my time, take hikes, and really just the ideas start flowing. And I have a notebook, so I just take notes, or I have Evernote. Evernote is a great tool, guys. They're not sponsors, but check them out.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I heard it also, people, and I'm also doing this. That one day being completely out, thinking. I'm also an avid note taker. I love they're not a sponsor either, but like the Leuchtturm notebooks. The paper is a fantastic. There
you go. We have the same one.
Great. Writing on paper for me gives still something more. It really is in your system then, rather than just typing. I also use Notion and others, but writing on paper for me really helps me ordering my thoughts.
Yeah, for sure.
And then how do you transform the ideas and the insights you had from that day into execution to work on your startup?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So a lot of these ideas are grandiose ideas, right? They're like, okay, what's the direction of the whole company? So, it's great to have these huge ideas and, big vision of where we're going to go. But at the same time, We have to, be mindful of the direction we are right now. So, sometimes I would come back home from this like 3-day vacation in a sense, and just write down what I think is actionable right now and break them down into micro actions. So really in this 3 days that I'm out, I'm looking at the macro view, and then I come back and I break it down in a micro. So what steps can I take today? Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going down the list. That's going to help me achieve that goal if that's the direction I want to take. So really breaking down those big ideas into mini sections, and then, continuing down those mini sections. So,
yeah. And do you delegate then parts of these sections to the rest of your team?
Yeah, depending on whether it's marketing focused, sales focused, or dev focused, for sure, I delegate and I bring it up with them. I have a discussion. I tell them, hey guys, I came up with this and I want to get your thoughts on, is this feasible? How long will it take? Is your workload too much right now? Do we have to put this on pause? Especially with startups now, the resources are so limited, especially if you're bootstrapped, right? And working a full-time job. So priority is key. Like the number one focus, or the advice I would give to all aspiring entrepreneurs out there, if you want to do your own thing, is really prioritize with so much detail that, nothing slips through the cracks. Really pick your points properly and have some conviction with those points. Like you put them on the board, then you get those done. And you make sure that those are the priority, because a lot of the times you want to do everything. Yeah. There's so much to do, right? But you have to be laser focused on the tasks at hand.
Yeah. And when you're overcome by overwhelm, how then do you prioritize? Because I said that there's so much going on. So what are for you some tips there?
So really, I see what works best for my team, right? Because they're an extension of me and my brand and our company. So whenever I have tasks, I always have a chat with them to see what they're able to do, what works best for them. And then if we come to an accord on what exactly we need to do, that's when we put that down on the board and say, okay, this is the task we're going to do, and the reasons why is because we have the time for it. It's going to help our customers, and it's going to help our bottom line as well. So we're able to continue business while making our customers happy. So really, those are the 3 criterias. So what the team wants, what the customers want, and are we going to survive if we get this done,
Yeah, great. And do you have people helping you, mentors or coaches that you can go to?
Yeah, so I have a lot of coaches on LinkedIn that I speak to, in a sense that I find as mentors, like yourself, for example. I find you as a mentor to me in terms of sales. We had one discussion, or multiple actually, through LinkedIn, but to me that's a mentor,
Yeah. Okay.
And I also have some other people as well. But in terms of advisory board, people that are on board Wave, we do have Kevin Connery, who is a Techstar alumni. And he's helped us quite a lot when it comes to, our direction, our vision, where we should be going. He's really putting us on the right track. So yeah, I find you need to have a circle around you that knows more than you do. If you're the smartest person in the room, everybody knows this, then, it's tough to progress. You need to learn from the people who are better than you. So I like to surround myself with people who have that expertise that, I'm missing.
Yeah, that's a great one, and that's often the case. Some people don't like to hire people that are smarter because it makes them feel insecure. However, in a startup, you need a learning mindset that you need people that are smarter and better than you. Otherwise, you will, you won't progress at all. And
That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. I see it too often. A lot of entrepreneurs just don't surround themselves with people that are smarter because they find, I don't know if it's an ego thing or not, but typically you want to be surrounded by people who know much more than you do. So
yeah. And maybe the fundamental question. So you're bootstrapping, you have a side hustle. It takes a lot of strain on your personal life. I don't want to make it sound too hard, but to prepare my why becoming an entrepreneur then? Why not enjoying the corporate life or the 9-to-5 life?
I like to challenge myself, man. And I get this question a lot, is why do you want to do this to yourself, right? And really the answer is I like to challenge myself at its limits, right? So, and I find entrepreneurship, building a company is is, radically tough. It's not something that's easy to do. It's easy to work a 9 to 5 and wake up and, do your job and leave at 5, but it's not easy to manage a team, to build a company, to, get customers, to build something and that changes the world in a sense. So, typically the first thing would be because it's a big challenge to me and I like to challenge myself.
Yeah. Okay, great. And if you look at, if you're looking back at your journey, and I have to think about TikTok, it's a brilliant idea. And if you look at the journey in the beginning, what did you wish that you had before you started?
A bigger network, for sure. A bigger network for sure. People open doors for people, right? They don't just open themselves unless you want to kick them down, but typically it's easier to kick a door down when you're a group of people, right? So having a more robust network, that could have guided me earlier, maybe to get started earlier, right? Because we launched 9 months ago, but maybe we could have launched 2 years ago. So yeah, definitely taking the opportunity, probably when, I was much younger, to get myself out there more, to network more, to build connections, to build that base, right? Because when you're younger, when you're 18, 19, 20, you don't really think of these things, right? You want to go out with your friends, you want to drink, you want to do some fun stuff. So if I had that mindset really to network and get myself out there more, I'm sure it would have reaped a lot of rewards going forward. But, it's never too late. We started now, so definitely better now than never. So build a network.
Yeah, good one. And how do you build today on your network? Offline, online, how do you do it?
Yeah, so to build a network, I try and take every channel possible, right? Like nowadays, everything is very prominent online. So I take the opportunity any way I can to reach out to people that I want to connect with. And take any opportunity to actually, connect with people who reach out to me. So I see a lot of times on LinkedIn, people just don't respond to people reaching out. I find that a huge missed opportunity. If anybody reaches out to me and they tell me, hey, George, let's go for a coffee chat, I'm there in a second, in a flash. If anything, I'll teleport to that coffee shop and just talk to the guy. So I do it through LinkedIn, and then definitely I attend as many events as possible. So I was just at an expo yesterday, Expo Entrepreneur here in Montreal. So I had the chance to talk with, hundreds of founders, accelerator programs. I find that you build the best connections when it's in person. Yeah. It's different than when you do it online, because you actually get that face-to-face interaction. You really feel for the person. But I would say use every channel possible, whether it's virtual, in person, to just get to know somebody.
Yeah, and for me, remote is here to stay anyways. And I think the world went through a big paradigm shift with the whole COVID situation, where we were forced to work remotely. The advantage is you can network with people from all over the world, basically. Time zones might be kind of a limit, but it creates opportunities.
Look at this, like you're across the ocean and we got to meet each other.
Exactly. And maybe when you start hiring salespeople, it's going to be so much more easier to find people overseas rather than really looking at the Americas and then only in a later stage moving abroad. So it has created opportunities, and it's really, we have to seize the moment. And I think we're all doing this.
Yeah, for sure. Like I find like there's no more excuses, right? Like, maybe you didn't like to be in person. Well, guess what? Now you can be in virtual setting, and you don't have to be physically in that space. So if anybody is looking to build their brand, build their network, you have to meet with people. You have to connect with them.
Yeah. When I was traveling in the past, I was, many hours in the plane. And then 3-4 days, some intense meetings, but all in all, it was like 5, 10, 15 meetings over 3-4 days, while now sitting behind your desk, you can have, maybe 10 meetings in the morning, half-hour catch-ups, coffee chats, you name it. So
exactly.
It's really completely changed the playfield.
For sure.
And do you think there is a way on the online side to use Wave, as an online network tool?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm glad you brought that up, because We're releasing now, very soon in a few weeks, a way to share your profile online. So on the top right corner, probably around somewhere here, you'll have like a Zoom background QR code. So even if you're in a hybrid setting, you can always exchange your contact information. You can also share all your online channels using a hybrid setting. Then we're also going to introduce Wave and email signatures. So you can also share everything in person, but now we're also bringing that to the hybrid space.
Yeah. Oh, that's really brilliant. Then when you have a round table with people that you haven't met yet, you can scan them in. You have your contact details
And everything else that they have to offer too.
Yeah, really, really brilliant. And you're still in the process of developing, to go back on the product side, to developing an enterprise module. Can you tell us more about this, and maybe also specifically why you absolutely need it to break through?
Yeah, so this is a product of speaking to our customers, really. Like, this is not something that we had foreseen in the pipeline. It's just based out of, discovery with our clients. And what people are really looking for is a platform where they're able to manage all the digital business cards, all the networking efforts of their employees. Because typically right now, what they're doing is paper business cards, right? There's no way to track how well your salespeople or your team is doing at these networking events. And there's no way to put your best foot forward using these paper business cards. So companies are coming to me and telling me, hey, George, is there a way I can, do this from, on a managerial level to kind of, see the digital business cards of the 100 of employees I have and manage them centrally. So that's something that we kept hearing month over month over month over month. And we're like, okay, well, the market's speaking to us. Let's do this. So we started devising a wait list, speaking to our customers and tell them, hey, this is coming out very soon. Is this something you'd be interested in? Do you want us to put you on the list? And then that way we can get in touch with you going forward. And do that. So we want to capture the opportunities today and make sure that, these companies are willing to pay for it before we start building it. And, we're gauging that interest, and it seems to be very positive, and we've started developing the product, and it should release very soon. And then from there, it's going to accelerate, our go-to-market on the B2B side.
Yeah. Okay. And then I want to come back briefly to the wait list. Do you nurture them? How do you keep them updated and still alive? The people on the waiting list.
Through communication. It's with all this technology, with everything that's happening, we tend to forget that it's phones exist in a sense where you can just pick up the phone and call somebody. So that's typically what I do. So if I'm talking to a business dev manager at company X, or company Y, I just pick up the phone and tell them, hey, Jack, how's it going? This is George from Wave Connect. I'd love to catch up, get to know your feedback. What are you guys looking for? Are things working for you? And I try and do this on a monthly or, 2-month basis where I just catch up with my clients and talk to them to see how things are going. So I try and have a more personal connection with them more than anything.
Yeah.
We definitely have like inbound marketing. So when you sign up, you get, kind of showcase with what Wave can do for you, but nothing beats getting on the phone and actually having a chat with somebody.
Yeah, great. And talking about what Wave can do, what are the other things that you do to make sure that the people are using your product correctly, or at least that they know all the benefits?
Yeah, great question. So it's not too hard to understand, but at the same time, sometimes some people miss it. So the way it works is relatively simple, right? It's you just connect your profile to your card, and then you can share it at any time or through a QR code. But to keep people informed, it's definitely through inbound marketing. So somebody goes through our funnel, becomes a user. Once they become a user, what we do from there is we send out a series of emails which, inform the user on the best practices, how to create their account, what they should be doing or how they should be connecting with people, the options that they have to share, like the Zoom background, the email signature, the card itself, the QR code. So we do this informationally through emails, through content on LinkedIn, and at the same time through blogs on our website. So in case they want to learn more, they can always check that out.
Yeah. And do you have some best practices? What works best for you?
So what worked best for me in terms of
of,
So I'm going
of,
to
of people that know that, okay, they get it, they understand the product. What type of onboarding is it? What type of content is it that really helps them?
Yeah, so we definitely track what's going on the inbound side, right, to see how many people are actually clicking the blog to learn more. But really, we do have Google Analytics as well on our platform to really see the engagement of people, and are they sharing these profiles? How many times are they interacting or connecting with people? So these kinds of things, the higher the engagement goes, the more we feel we're doing a good job on, helping people connect, and we're just trying to make it as easy as possible for people to find that information. Like I said, through marketing, emails, or blogs and things of that nature.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, that sounds great. And when we go back to you as an entrepreneur, you are side hustling, to say it again. Do you have a type of a moment that you say, okay, listen, this is the moment I really will have to make a decision to go full in Wave?
Yeah, eventually, it's something that will happen if we continue the way it goes right now.
Yeah.
I haven't, right now I'm just trying to work as much as possible on both, but it's not something that, it just, you get that gut feeling. I don't know how to explain it. You just have to get that, it just clicks in your head and you're like, okay, well, now it's exactly time. I need to jump, and you'll know when it comes, right? There's, you can't plan for something like that. So I just have to wait to get that feeling and then take the leap of faith.
Yeah, great. I'm going to go a bit deeper into this, but first of all, you're bootstrapped. Is your goal to remain bootstrapped?
That's a great question too, man. You're hitting me with a lot of good questions, Cedric.
Thank you.
In my eyes right now, I find that if I want to go faster, I'm going to need to raise. A lot of startups fail because they're just not fast enough. Competitors catch up.
Yeah.
So it is in the pipeline to eventually raise a pre-seed. So it's something I'm looking at right now. And I think it's going to switch from a bootstrap company to a company that's now getting funded.
Yeah. That's what I often hear: speed versus ownership.
Mailchimp is an amazing example of a bootstrap company that continued to stay bootstrapped. It took them 10, 15 years to get there.
Yeah.
I find, like, in a space like mine, it's easy for a competitor to get in the market. So speed is something that's very important for me right now. So getting that funding will help us accelerate that platform, accelerate the marketing initiatives, get a sales team to really start pushing this to the next level.
Yeah, definitely. And I think definitely when you go into the B2B space, sales cycles tend to be longer than B2C, of course.
Yeah.
To build up your sales funnel, you need certain bandwidth, including multiple salespeople, to actually build that pipeline up. I get it. And on that side, how much of your time do you spend on actually selling?
So a lot of the times right now it's mostly inbound. So it's through our marketing efforts and referrals, or people who are using the card and somebody experienced Wave and they reach out. So it's less outbound, more inbound, and that's why I'm looking into doing the transition to start making outbound, because it's about that time that we start being a bit more aggressive on our sales.
And your goal is like what, summer?
Yeah, our goal is probably before the end of August.
Okay. And
we've started devising an outbound strategy. We've started doing it. We started implementing it slowly. Again, it's nothing that's refined to a point that it's repeatable, right? I find like I'm just trying to scrap as many leads left and right as possible, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around building this repeatable system in sales, that I can scale with salespeople, SDRs, demo closers, and things like that.
Yeah, and definitely that's why documenting is so important, that you understand what works, what doesn't, that you don't have to constantly reiterate to understand what works and what doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. All right, so if you look back at your journey, what do you wish you had done differently?
Okay. probably go the B2B route straight from the top, right? Like, we built this with having in mind that we're going to be an e-commerce store going the B2C route. But if I had this vision of going B2B, from the start, probably the platform would have been done by now. And we've already racked up some more sales from that front. But in the end, I'm happy I got to where I am right now because I learned a lot on the way, failed a lot. And the reason we got to where we are right now is because we learned from those failures and then continue to adapt. So, yeah, I'm happy the way it played out. Yeah. And it's still playing out. So,
yeah. Well, you're building up momentum. So it looks great. And if you look at any inspiration, so do you have any podcasts, any books that really inspired you or really helped you moving forward?
Yes, I have a lot of books that that helped me quite a lot. So the first one is The Lean Startup. That's definitely one I suggest for any entrepreneur.
Yeah.
The second one would be Blitzscaling. So super important book. It really talks about the importance of speed for startups. And then I'm also now reading a book called Hooked. So it's the way to build products that stick with customers. So I highly recommend those 3 books.
Okay, great. Thank you. And do you have any podcasts as well? Do you have time to listen to podcasts?
Yes, there is a very good, very, very good podcast that I'm listening to recently, actually. These guys are making a killing on LinkedIn. It's called, it's by Refine Labs. I started a week ago. So I can actually get you the name. I have it right here. Give me 1 second. So it's called State of Demand Gen.
State of Demand Gen, okay.
Yeah, by Refine Labs. It's on Spotify.
Okay,
and it talks about
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a podcast that talks about demand gen less than lead gen, and they have some crazy good content. So definitely suggest you look into that.
Will do. Thank you. All right, then we are nearing the end. I have one final question. When you look at people, there is not one entrepreneur that hasn't started with an idea and then hasn't pivoted. What is for you the moment to pivot?
Moment to pivot. So moment to pivot, 100%, like I'm super confident with saying this, is you're typically not building this for yourself, right? It starts because you come out with a need internally to fix something, but in the end, you're really building it for your customers, right? So really listen to what they have to say, listen to their feedback, because sometimes they don't know what they want, but they give you clues, right? So in the emails that they send you, in the conversations that you have, in the way they use your product. So really focus on their needs, what they're telling you, uncover those secrets, and then build going forward for what they want. And that's what kind of is the catalyst to an iteration.
Yeah, great. And how then do you distinguish between following the customer and following what they actually need? If you look at Ford, he said, if I did what the customers wanted, I bred faster horses rather than...
Right. So not every customer is correct, right? But typically when you get a lot of data, you'll be able to understand, if one customer is telling you to ride horses, don't jump in and ride horses. But, if you have, 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 customers that are saying something around the same lines, then, based on that data that you have, the scale is moving towards this end, and that's kind of what you need to focus on.
Yeah. Okay. Great input. Thank you very much.
Customer feedback mixed with a bit of data, and typically you'll get to a decision that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, and I really like that you talk constantly about picking up the phone, talking to the customers, getting insights. So I think that's a key of success. Quite some founders are reluctant in talking to their customers. They have an idea to do something, and then nobody is actually needing this. And I really like the way you work with iterations, getting that feedback from the customer. So yeah, well done.
Thank you, Cedric. I learned from the best.
Yeah, definitely. It will work out, man. Don't worry. Really looks positive for you.
Thank you so much.
And with this, I would like to thank you in participating in the podcast, being my guest. I really love the learnings, and I wish you a lot of success with the wave.
Thank you, Cedric. Super happy to be here. And to the audience, let's go.